Is the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS show with John Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, FA Nation? John Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Playbook Preview Show. We are looking at the two-game main slate on Thursday. We got Cleveland-Boston running back in Game 2. We got Dallas-OKC as well. We just saw these two games just the other night. Boston-Cleveland went as expected. Dallas-OKC maybe even went as expected, given the way those teams have played this season here. James, we had the solo game on Wednesday, so we didn't do a preview show, but we're back at it here today.
Yeah, OKC is so good. Obviously, they were the 1 seed over Denver and Minnesota for a reason, right? And we've been trying to figure out who's going to come out of the West. Well, looks like there's two teams better than everyone else. We will see as this continues, but there's obviously there was a statement made in one particular Western Conference series. There is a statement game 1 in this Dallas, and we don't know. Luka doesn't look healthy. Another add to the list of player that does not look healthy in the postseason. But you might look a little less healthy when you head into the torture chamber here, John, because he did not have a fun time yesterday against Lou Dort, and that's going to continue throughout the entire series. So Luka actually went on record before the series and said Lou Dort he thinks is a top 3 perimeter defender in the NBA. Sure. So he was singing his praise. He knew where he was. He knew he was entering the chamber before he entered. So it's going to be a lot more of the same. The only really significant news that we're kind of just going to continuously wait for is when, if ever, is Jared Allen going to play? Because once again, he is listed questionable. They said he cannot lift his arms, dude.
Right.
Like, he is, every time he lifts his arms, he has pain.
He for sure has a torn rib cartilage.
Dude,
or
it's going to come out, right? As soon as the season's over and he doesn't play again, because Donovan Mitchell was his best form and it did not matter in any capacity. Torch Drew Holiday. Did not matter.
They took like a 3-point lead, I think, in the first quarter off like off a Donovan Mitchell like solo run, and then that was it. That was their best chance at that game. Derek White, career in the playoffs with the Celtics, is shooting 47% from 3. You're not gonna, we'll just jump into it. We'll break down Cleveland Boston now. It won't take long. We'll start with Cleveland, but Derek White just. That man is dangerous. Cleveland side, you mentioned Donovan Mitchell gave literally his best effort there. 33 actual, 12 of 25 from the floor, 50 fantasy points. They lost by 30. I talked about how I have a full Cleveland stack in underdog best ball playoffs. Like, you know what? Maybe Cleveland could do it. No, they can't do it. No. They can't do it.
Now, like, we saw it in the first series, right? If they go out and hit 23s and they match Boston there, because Boston has the talent, but they just shoot more threes than everyone. So, like, you have to match their 3-point output and more to keep up with, 1, the talent, 2, with their made threes. Right. If you don't, you'd have no chance.
That game 2 where Miami won, they only won by 8, and they had 12 3-pointers made. Like
23 made threes, season high made threes.
They still barely beat the Celtics. The score ended up being a little bit further out, but they were within 6 in the final 3 minutes of that game. So it takes a Herculean team effort to beat the Celtics. It seems like no Kristaps Porzingis, no problem for Boston. I thought Evan Mobley was going to have an opportunity to do some damage. 17 and 13 looked good. It didn't matter, but fantasy wise, like that counts, right? If you played Evan Mobley in that game, you got the production you wanted.
Yeah. And so when you look at the rotations too, you could basically tack on, if this game were to stay competitive, another 4 minutes to everyone's minutes. So Mitchell would have been at 40, Garland would have been at 40, Strus would have been 39, Mobley 36, which is fine. So the starters are all fine. I have to assume at this point, Jared Allen, the last we've seen of Jared Allen, so we probably will see Isaac Okoro again as the fifth starter.
Right.
I don't know if you saw Isaac Okoro. If you look at his stat line, John, he had 11 points, 1 assist, 1 rebound. Do you know what Isaac Okoro's stat line was at halftime?
I'm guessing it was similar to that.
11 points, 1 assist, and 1 rebound at halftime. The exact stat line he had, which he basically had in like the first quarter. He had 8 first quarter points. To your point of like Cleveland getting out to that early lead. Well, Isaac Okoro had 8 points. Like, take a shot every time you hear it. Like,
they tried to use him as like the primary defender on Brown and Tatum. It did not work well.
I mean, he is a very good defender, but there's just, I mean, Jaylen, what are you going to do with that version of Jaylen Brown? There's nothing you can do. And then like, hey, Jaylen Brown just gave you our best punch. Jayson Tatum's not having a good game. Here's Derek White. He was going to make 8 threes. Like, there's just so Okoro, like, salute to you, sir. Like, you are a good defender. You're going to be in a lot of trouble this series. Which is why I think like you can play the top 4. Like, Strus was terrible in that game. Maybe the worst game he's played in forever. But again, he played 35 minutes, would have played 39. There's 3-point upside with him. Karis LeVert ended up playing 26 minutes, was in garbage time as well, which kind of knocks him down a little bit, 4 minutes of garbage time. But he was obviously like the only player they really used off the bench.
Right.
Tristan Thompson played 11 minutes. Sam Merrill played like a few when you're not like.
Yeah, I think it was Sam Merrill. They showed a highlight where he got just completely crossed up and crossed over, and it was just, you can't stop the Celtics here.
I think it's basically like Mitchell tier by himself, and then tier 2 is Mobley, Garland, Strus, hat tip to LeVert, because I think
I almost put Strus and LeVert in the same tier. You just know that Strus is going to play more minutes.
Yes.
But, Garland and Mobley, I think, are clear tier 2. And then everybody else, you don't know what you're going to get. You're going to get the minutes from Strus.
Right.
You might get more scoring punch from LeVert, but, like, you just don't know.
You just don't know. I mean, they need to keep Strus on the floor because they have to have 3-pointers, right? So he's going to be on the floor just to possibly keep pace. So we've seen it, right? He has those random games where he can make a bunch of threes, and
I said it during the first show. I was like, listen, Strus played against Boston in all those playoff series in Miami. Like, maybe he can give some hints. He understands spacing, and he had some big games again. No, it just wasn't there. The problem is, like, everybody on Boston can close out. Even Al Horford at 500 years old is capable of like closing out at the perimeter, right? So like it's just very difficult. Obviously, that's why they won the East by 15 games. Going to the Boston side of this one here. Again, Jayson Tatum. I had a buddy say, like, do you think Tatum is hurt? I don't know if he's hurt. I just don't know if he's going all out because, like, they don't need to like assert him as heavily. Maybe, like, I don't know. What are your thoughts on Tatum here? Is he just comfortably taking a backseat to Brown and White? Like, where are you with this?
I mean, I do think at the end of that Miami series, he was having problems with Bam. Mm-hmm. I mean, dude, Bam is really that good defensively. Like, he is a finalist for Defensive Player of the Year. Like, you're not just like accidentally stumbling into it unless your stat keeper is giving you blocks and steals that you don't deserve, right? That's the only way you stumble into that award, or at least being involved in that.
I guess is that scorekeeper Memphis got fired because we didn't get the same numbers.
No, we sure didn't. No, we didn't. More fouls for sure. I also think like Okoro is a good defender. I also think when Tatum's been matched up with Mobley, like, that's not fun either. Like, both those guys are plus defenders, like all defense teams.
He just always draws the best other teams' defense.
Yeah, I mean, I joke about Derek White partially about him being the best player. Like, Jayson Tatum's going, like, you're going as far as Jayson Tatum takes you, right? Like, if you win a championship,
probably, yeah.
Well, it at least in years past, where you haven't had Porzingis, you haven't had this version of Derek White, like, you fell short because maybe Tatum wasn't as good as he's been in the regular
Game 7 against Miami last year. He sprained his ankle in the first quarter, and it was over from there.
So
yeah.
I don't think he's hurt. I personally don't think he's hurt. I think that first off, Jaylen Brown is consistently seeing better matchups and has consistently delivered. And it's something that I tweeted out yesterday or whatever day it was. He has a 15% usage gap on Tatum, which not like that just shows you what Boston's doing. We're going to run our offense through Jaylen Brown right now because he's our best scoring punch.
Yeah.
And it's working. I mean, he's been a bucket. So
since the All-Star game, he came back from the All-Star game and just did not stop. Something happened at the All-Star game where he felt disrespected or what. But
they're making fun of his dunk. Were they making fun of his bad dunks? Or?
Well, I mean, if you remember, they came out of the All-Star break, and that's when they were like lagging off him from the 3-point line, and he had that run of just knocking down threes. And maybe he just like felt disrespected, like, oh, all right, they don't think I'm good enough to do this, and he's been a monster since. Right. I mean, they didn't move Derek White's price tag. I get it, like 37, 38 fantasy points is kind of paying off the price. It's not, it's a little bit of a value, but yeah. But like, just
he's
dude, 8 of 15, 5 of 10, 7 of 12 and 3.
What do you do? Like, what is Cleveland's? There's nothing you could do because like you're not just being like, hey Isaac, go guard Derek White. And then what is Jaylen Brown? Max Strus? Donovan Mitchell?
Some of these threes, he's unloading like he's playing Papa Shot, where he's just like grabbing and throwing. He's not.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
He's in such a rhythm now that the shot's out. Like as soon as the ball's, it's out, and they have no time to react. And then when he's dribbling, it's you'd think he's Steph Curry. It's up and up. It's so smooth and so quick. There's no set to it. He's just it is.
There's a ceiling here too. One block and steal over the last 2 games for Derek White, who's like a wizard, like the best shot blocking guard in the NBA, and like obviously very good in the past.
He only had 1 rebound in the game. He had 5, 4, and 5 the previous 3.
Dude, there is a serious ceiling on Derek White when there's no Porzingis, or when he is blanket statement. When there's somebody out, Derek White, insert your Derek White shares.
Again, I tweeted it out the other day. I'm like, name the most lopsided trades in NBA history. The Celtics might be part of all 3 of them. The Kevin Garnett trade, the Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett trade, and then
Brooklyn.
The Brooklyn trade, the Timberwolves trade, and the Spurs trade might be rank up there as among the most lopsided trades when it's all said and done. Giving Romeo Langford away, Josh Richardson, a first-round pick that became Blake Wesley for Derek White, right? Like, crazy. Holiday, Horford, 2 guys in the 5K range. The minutes will be there. You can definitely play them if you want. Hard to play the bench guys, though. I mean, like, you just don't know. Like, it's just
so. This was a good bench game from 2 of the 3 bench guys, not Sam Hauser. So the other 2. Sam Hauser had 1 fantasy point. Pritchard was great, and Luke Cornett was great.
Yeah,
Luke Cornett had 10 boards, dude. He had 10 boards, 2 blocks, and his price went down $200. So I think a 2% Luke Cornett last slate will probably like 10x on a 2-game slate. Like you'll probably find people gravitating to Cornett if we're gonna get 20 minutes. Sure. There was a Xavier Tillman sighting as well for limited minutes, but just throwing it out there. He did play in the first half. But I do think you can get to Pritchard, you can get to Cornett, you can get to Hauser if you think.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you on the Cornett thing because if they go up big, there's no way they're going to be extending Horford.
0.
With Porzingis injured right now. They're going to limit the minutes as much as they can. So I'll give you the Cornett one for sure. I think to me, that might actually feel safer than Pritchard and Holiday because we saw Pritchard in game 1 against Miami go off for like, oh man, like how do you? And then he was at 0 basically for the rest of that series, as was Hauser. But Cornett feels safer to me.
Agreed.
When we're doing that. So, anybody else here?
No.
All right, Dallas, Cleveland. Dallas, OKC. We'll start off at Dallas here. Again, Luka's considered probable for this game. You've mentioned, obviously, you think that there isn't clearly an injury that he is just playing through. Not a great game against OKC there, 19-9-6. You tweeted the torture chamber photo. Listen, we talk about like how funny it is. Certain guys just get the reputation. Like Kobe Bryant said his toughest defensive matchup during his career was Tony Allen, and you wouldn't think
Right.
like Tony
Right.
Allen would be the first name, maybe not the fifth name you'd think of, but that's what Kobe said, right? And
Right.
now Luka's out there being like Lou Dort might be one of the better defensive players in the league,
Yep.
So does that scare you off of Luka, given price, given injury, given matchup here?
I mean, you can always get to him. Like, again, awful game from a real life game perspective. 42 probably killed you. When you had Donovan.
We struggled to build a lineup with him. So
Yeah. So like you just know what's to come with Luka, regardless of like the knee injury, right? Minutes, check. Shot attempts, check. Peripheral stats, check. It's just if he can get Dort in early foul trouble, and if the knee responds, which seems like he's going to play through, and he did have some good games at the end of the Clipper series to like show some life. So I'm good getting there. I like blanket statement. I just prefer like all the other spend ups, Mitchell, SGA, because it's very hard to get to an 11-6 Luka when there's a knee injury and the matchup he has. But at the same time, nobody on the slate has the ceiling that Luka Doncic has. So if you can comfortably build with him and you feel like this is the game that he goes off, then obviously you can get there.
Agreed. That's a big price drop. I mean, you save $3,000, you get Kyrie Irving here. Again, it wasn't a good game for Dallas, so you're not going to see a lot of great fantasy points. But if you kind of like think there will be more competitive in game 2 than 8,700 for Kyrie Irving, you get the Kyrie Irving that went for 50 plus a handful of times there against the Clippers, and it's a steal.
Yeah. I think Kyrie is definitely in play. I would probably rather get to him before Luka, just from a pricing standpoint. Like,
sure.
I think this game's going to be more competitive than game 1. Then obviously Kyrie and Luka are going to have a part to say in that, and it's not just going to be the Daniel Gafford and Josh Green show, which it was in game 1, which is bizarre to say, but because you and I were all in on Lively, and then the field was in on Lively, and then Daniel Gafford nuked the slate, and Derek Lively didn't even sniff the floor. So
13 minutes, I think it was. Yeah, and Gafford did a thing there, 5 blocks.
Yeah, he was great. Like, dude, he was altering so many shots. It was like they were like on the broadcast talking about, like, when are they getting Gafford back? Like, there's no rim protection when Gafford comes off the floor. So you know what's going to happen though. We're going to build with Daniel Gafford here. And
we got like 3 fouls in 2 minutes, and
Derek Lively is going to break the slate. It's just naturally what happens. But if that's what's the version of Daniel Gafford, I would say outside of Luka, Kyrie, that's where I think we just have to gravitate towards.
Yeah, no arguments with me here. Where are you? Like, PJ Washington played 25 minutes. You got 17 minutes out of Hardaway. Obviously wasn't good, didn't hit a shot, but like got some minutes there. You mentioned Green. Like, are you outside of the top 4, I guess? Like Derek Jones played 30 minutes. We knew the minutes would be there for him. Do you like any of these guys? Obviously, it's a 2-game slate, so you're going to have to take some darts with the cheap plays.
Yeah, so I'm still actually okay with Lively in tournaments. It was a bad game. He also got in foul trouble early, but he had a lot of success against OKC. And even with Gafford being so good, it's like, again, it's the Valanciunas thing. Like, I don't know if you saw this. They're putting them on Josh Giddey, by the way. They're guarding Josh Giddey with their center, making Josh Giddey beat them, and they took Giddey off the floor. Straight up. They just took him off the floor.
We almost guessed something like that. We thought Derek Jones would be the Giddey defensive play there.
No. Derek Jones on best opposing player, I thought. I thought Derek Jones
I'm talking about flipping it, right? Giddey was the one guarding.
Yes, guarding Derek Jones. Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
They had Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively guarding Josh Giddey, and they were like, "Here, buddy, shoot," and he didn't. Then he got taken off the floor. But I would say so. Just interesting here, and we can move on. Before the subs came in, before the closing lineup, there was 5 minutes left. Tim Hardaway was in that final lineup. I don't know if that has to do with them just needing offense at that time. Like, he started the fourth quarter. He played the final 2 minutes of the third, first 7 minutes of the fourth. And I don't know if that had to do with like, all right, we need to insert someone to score. And Tim Hardaway obviously didn't do that, but it was a little interesting. Josh Green was great. He also played the final 5 minutes with the backup. So You know, I'm not ready to be like Josh Green's going to play 26 minutes again. But he is a fine value at 3,200 for
Sure. OKC. You
Yes.
when we played last series, you wanted just to play everybody in Denver. That was sort of your strategy. Are you feeling that way about the Thunder? You get Jalen Williams, you get Chet Holmgren, you get SGA, Aaron Wiggins. Like what are your thoughts on just plug in the Thunder here?
I try to tell. I feel like I said it on the podcast about Aaron Wiggins.
You did, yeah.
And I definitely said it in the Discord, and I definitely said it in the playbook that I thought that he was the biggest beneficiary to Giddey because he's just been their best player off the bench. Like Isaiah Joe, strict 3-point shooter, and Cason Wallace known more as a defender. Aaron Wiggins is just out here balling, dude. Like he's so. I would say yeah to what you said. I mean, SGA is too cheap at 95. We were paying nearly $11,000 for him all year. That's stupid. Derek Jones found out real fast, one game in, that SGA is not Paul George. Nope. I mean, that is not the same player. So he's going to have a hard time staying with SGA, who 1 rebound, 1 shy of a triple-double there, and didn't play the final 5 minutes of the game, or 3 minutes of the game. Jalen Williams, really bad start. Then went on a 10-0 personal run in the fourth quarter to just ice this game.
Yeah.
He's one of the leading scorers in the NBA in fourth quarter points per game. So if Jalen Williams is off to a slow start, don't you worry. He's going to get going. Love Jalen Williams. Chet was really good in 31 minutes. Again, would have played more if there was a more competitive game here. Almost 40 fantasy points. He's too cheap. Not playing Josh Giddey. I think game 1 pretty much solidified it for us that he is not in this rotation.
No.
If he cannot make shots, he's not playing because if you're just being laughed at by a center guarding you, right? Like that is them straight up disrespecting you. And if you can't make them pay, there's no point in having you on the floor. We'll get one Giddey game where he makes them pay and he makes shots and he stays on the floor. Lou Dort was in foul trouble in the first half. Wasn't great. But if he plays another 10 minutes, 24 fantasy points, definitely in his cards. But I do think Wiggins was great. They made it pretty obvious that Kendrick Williams wasn't going to be the backup center here. Other Jalen Williams, Jalen with a Y, J Will, 17 minutes, 11 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists. I found that a little bit interesting. He did close the game. Obviously, that's something to take note of, but he was great. $3,500. Obviously, didn't only accrue stats in the fourth quarter, but if that's going to be your backup center, for sure, and Isaiah Joe played the 14 minutes that he's going to play, Cason Wallace, I would say Cason Wallace would probably be a guy I would look at if 20 minutes is on the table, just given Giddey's really not playing. So big 3 for sure. Lou Dort, Aaron Wiggins, Jalen Williams, Cason Wallace. I think they're all firmly in play.
Alrighty. Well, let's get to building here. Did you want to play Cornet for value here on this one? What's your you talked Gafford obviously.
Probably Gafford, Aaron Wiggins would probably be like the first 2 values, and then we'll see from there. Like SGA for sure, 9,500. I'm just gonna have such a hard time not playing.
I feel that way about Derek White on their
side. 100% agree. 100% agree. And honestly, if you move SGA, we could probably get one of Jaylen Brown or Donovan Mitchell, probably, right? Like Donovan Mitchell obviously showed in game 1 he's not going to be worried about.
Could play them both.
And we get to both with SGA too.
I mean, we get 5,600 with Gilgeous-Alexander and Jaylen Brown.
Feels good.
What's
power forward was the worst position the other day, and it's not going to be different today because it's probably like Josh Green at 3,200, which I don't.
Where's Cornet? 38. $4,300 power forward would be a Coro or Josh Green. Yeah,
it's probably Green, and then you have the money to go up off Cornet. Probably to like Drew Holiday or something.
Green.
No, you can't. I don't know why I said 49.
Dort or Jones or Levert.
The Chamber.
Just for the minutes.
The Chamber for the minutes, yeah. Plus we have Only one of the big three. I mean, I like the lineup regardless.
I mean, you get SGA, Brown, and Mitchell. So
yeah, that's a good feeling.
So
and Derek White, and don't you dare
Derek White.
Derek
White's right there. Example lineup for everybody: SGA, White, Brown, Josh Green, Daniel Gafford, Donovan Mitchell, Aaron Wiggins, Lou Dort. You can play it around however you guys want to make some salary work. We just wanted to do sort of a triple spend, and that's a way to get to it. What was Kyrie was only $100 cheaper. I thought Kyrie might have been $8K for a second. I was like, maybe we get Kyrie over Mitchell. But anyways, example lineup for all of you. We'll be back for the Friday slate, so make sure you check us out there. Get in the Discord. Find us on Twitter. Good luck with your lineup builds here for the Thursday slate, and we will catch you guys later.